Hey, Celtics fans, buckle up because things in the NBA right now are absolutely wild, and Boston is right in the middle of some of the most intriguing developments. Let's talk about Malik Monk first because honestly, what's going on with Sacramento makes zero sense. The Kings are out here doing everything in their power to move him, and when you look at it from the outside, it's baffling. Malik's been a solid contributor for years, a proven scorer off the bench, and he's putting up numbers that, in the right system, could make a real difference. And yet, Sacramento is treating him like he's radioactive. They're basically willing to part ways with him just to chase Russell Westbrook, who, let's be honest, at this point in his career, is not the same explosive MVP-level guy he was a decade ago. I mean, it's 2025. We're not in 2015 anymore. Westbrook has had a great career, no doubt, but trying to restructure your roster and give up a steady contributor like Malik Monk just to get a player whose prime years are long behind him? It's a move that leaves you scratching your head. Malik's stats tell a pretty clear story. Last season, he averaged 17 points, 6 assists, and around 4 rebounds per game while playing 31 minutes. He shot 43% from the field and made 32% from three. His efficiency was solid. He could handle the ball, and he had proven himself as a sixth man, finishing high in voting for Sixth Man of the Year in consecutive seasons. In a league where bench production can make or break playoff runs, a player like Monk is a true asset. And yet here we are, with Sacramento apparently willing to let him go just to pursue the nostalgia of Westbrook. It's a decision that defies logic, especially when you consider that Monk's contract is reasonable. He's locked in for $18.7 million next season, $20 million the year after, and $21 million with a player option in his final year. That's a number that's very manageable for a team trying to stay competitive, and yet he's being undervalued like he's some kind of burden. Meanwhile, Westbrook is seeking a very specific situation. He wants to be on the West Coast, and if that doesn't happen, he's hinting that he might step away from basketball altogether. So you have a team throwing a potentially game-changing piece aside for someone who may not even play for them unless things align perfectly. The whole scenario is just surreal. Now, when you look at the Celtics, Malik Monk could be an interesting addition, but it's complicated. With Anthony Simons and Peyton Pritchard already on the roster, Monk would slot in as a bench option, which is really where he thrives. He's the kind of spark plug player who can come in and shift momentum, drive the offense when starters are resting, and create open shots for others. Think of him like a modern-day Lou Williams, someone who excels in short bursts but can completely change the dynamic of the game in 25 or 30 minutes. That kind of versatility is invaluable, especially in a playoff setting. The redundancy with Simons and Pritchard is a concern, sure, but the opportunity to acquire someone of Monk's caliber at a reasonable cost is too tempting to ignore. If a team can navigate the financials and find a way to integrate him effectively, they're essentially adding a proven contributor who could swing tight playoff games in their favor. Meanwhile, Sacramento's obsession with Westbrook highlights a larger trend in the league. Teams chasing stars for the sake of recognition rather than fit. It's fascinating to watch because on paper, Westbrook's numbers still look respectable. Last season, he played 75 games, averaging 13 points, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds in about 27 minutes per game. But the context matters. He was coming off the bench for Denver. His turnovers were creeping over 3 per game, and defensively, he's not the force he once was. The league has evolved, and while Westbrook's style of aggressive attack and playmaking was revolutionary a decade ago, now teams demand efficiency, spacing, and defensive reliability. That's why letting Monk go to pursue Westbrook seems so puzzling. Monk offers scoring, playmaking, and consistency at a time when Sacramento is teetering on the edge of the playoff bracket. Opting for a veteran past his peak instead of a younger, productive contributor feels like a miscalculation that could haunt them. Adding to this, the broader free agency landscape is slowing down the entire league. Restricted free agents, trades in limbo, and a handful of remaining unsettled pieces are creating bottlenecks. Golden State hasn't moved aggressively despite the chatter about Jonathan Kuminga and other young assets. Ben Simmons' situation is still unresolved, and players like Al Horford and Anthony Melton are waiting for new opportunities. In this environment, every team is playing a delicate game of chess, trying to balance cap space, roster construction, and future flexibility. That's why watching Monk being shopped around so aggressively is so strange. It's almost as if the Kings don't fully grasp the value they're sitting on, or perhaps they're so desperate to shake things up that they're blind to the long-term implications. From a Celtics perspective, this kind of instability elsewhere could be advantageous if they can position themselves as a landing spot for a player who still has plenty to contribute at a high level. Off the court, the Celtics have been navigating some serious news as well. Jaylen Brown's family situation made headlines recently, with his father reportedly involved in a legal incident. It's a somber reminder that players exist in real life with complex personal circumstances that rarely get discussed during the highlight reels. While it may not directly impact performance on the court, it certainly adds a layer of concern for the team and the organization in terms of support and player well-being. Situations like these can shift focus, affect morale, and remind everyone that the NBA is more than just a series of stats and highlights. It's human stories intersecting with the game we love. Turning to brighter news, Jason Tatum's recovery from his Achilles injury has been progressing in a way that is genuinely encouraging. He's out of the boot, steadily advancing through his rehabilitation and consistently checking off milestones that indicate he could return at a pace faster than expected. Historically, Achilles injuries have been devastating, often changing a player's career trajectory by limiting explosiveness and mobility. But with modern sports medicine, rehab protocols, and surgical techniques, players like Tatum have a chance to return not only to their former level, but potentially stronger in terms of conditioning and skill adaptation. Comparisons to Kevin Durant's post-injury career are inevitable. Durant faced questions about his athleticism, defensive capacity, and overall effectiveness after his recovery, yet he adapted and remained an elite scorer. Tatum, being younger and entering rehab quickly, has the advantage of time and resilience. This suggests that the Celtics could see a version of him who retains his core abilities while potentially expanding his basketball IQ, shot selection, and positional versatility. It's also worth noting how the Celtics' current roster construction intersects with these developments. Anthony Simons, Peyton Pritchard, and other young goo.
Even as the league bases with speculation, it's fascinating to watch how individual narratives, like Monk's uncertain future, Westbrook's potential demands, Tatum's rehab, and off-court developments, intertwine with broader league dynamics. Each element, while distinct, contributes to a complex tapestry where the Celtics must navigate opportunity, risk, and timing. The intersection of talent evaluation, financial management, and human factors creates a compelling story arc that is just as thrilling as the games themselves. Watching these pieces move, sometimes unpredictably, adds a layer of intrigue that keeps fans engaged far beyond the final buzzer. Alright, Celtics fans, let's keep the momentum going because there is so much happening right now that it's almost hard to keep track. Jason Tatum's recovery is still the headline, and honestly, every update has been more encouraging than the last. The way is approaching rehab, 6 days a week, fully out of the boat, gradually building strength and mobility, is textbook for someone who is not just aiming to return, but aiming to come back at full form. This isn't just about ticking boxes, this is about a mindset. Tatum knows that missing a single detail in recovery could have ripple effects on his explosiveness, his agility, his ability to change direction on a dime or create space for his jump shot. Historically, Achilles injuries have been career-altering, but modern medicine and elite team training programs are shifting that narrative. This is why some analysts are starting to talk about these injuries like the Tommy John surgery of basketball. Players can come back and, in some ways, even redefine their game. The comparison isn't perfect, of course, pitchers and basketball players have very different demands, but the idea of fully leveraging medical science, rehab protocols, and biomechanics is a real game changer. The Celtics, with their current roster, are in a delicate balancing act. Tatum's recovery timeline affects trade possibilities, rotation planning, and even how much risk the team is willing to take in pursuit of wins this season. If Tatum isn't ready by mid-season, Boston has to decide whether they push for a playoff spot or focus on ensuring he comes back fully healthy for the following campaign. His presence, or absence, ripples through every strategic decision. For example, players like Anthony Simons and Peyton Pritchard are already getting significant minutes in the backcourt, and their development is a priority. Integrating a new player like Malik Monk, if he becomes available, would require careful management to avoid redundancy. Monk excels in short bursts, energizing the second unit and creating offensive space, but is not a primary scorer in the way Tatum is. Balancing these roles while keeping rotations efficient is a puzzle, but it's also the kind of challenge that separates a good team from a championship contender. Now, speaking of bench depth, let's talk about Josh Giddey. The second half of last season was eye-opening. Giddey came in and displayed an offensive versatility that made him look almost magical at times. He shot over 40% from 3 in critical stretches, he made high efficiency plus, and the cold facilitating was that kept defenses off balance. That said, context matters. Chicago's schedule and the style of play likely inflated some of his stats. The Bulls' run and gun pass and defensive lapses aren't representative of playoff-level competition. However, the underlying skill set is undeniably intriguing. If Boston could send Giddey for a reasonable contract, he could become a rotation player who provides meaningful passing, quick decision-making, and a scoring boost off the bench. His performance in high-pressure playoff situations is still a question mark, but with proper coaching and defined responsibilities, he could fit seamlessly alongside the current core. Adding depth and versatility that would be hard to replicate through a single trade or draft pick. Then there is the looming discussion of the repeated tax and salary cap implications. The Celtics have to be mindful of not just talent but financial flexibility. Sam Howe and Anthony Simons have contracts that make them attractive trade pieces if Boston decides to pivot strategically. Oversdale is appealing due to its structure, providing a balance between cost and performance that other teams covet. Simons' expiring contract offers short-term flexibility for potential acquisitions. These financial levers influence not just what the Celtics can do in the short term, but also their ability to pursue marquee moves in future seasons. Every addition or subtraction carries weight, both on the court and in the front office's long-term planning. The key is finding a balance where talent acquisition aligns with fiscal responsibility without sacrificing competitive potential. As we continue to analyze player roles, Tatum remains the cornerstone. His return timeline is critical, and the way he's handling rehab indicates a player determined not only to return to form but to passively elevate his game. There is a level of discipline and focus in his approach that can set a standard for the rest of the roster. When he steps back onto the court, it's not just about the points he scores, it's about how he reshapes the Celtics' offensive and defensive identity. Every play, every rotation, every lineup configuration changes once Tatum is back at full strength. The ripple effect is enormous, influencing decisions from the coaching staff to the front office to even how the Celtics approach trades and free agent signings. Meanwhile, outside the immediate Celtics ecosystem, the league remains a whirlwind of speculation. Sacramento's insistence on pursuing Westbrook over retaining a productive Monk is just one example of how unpredictability dominates the offseason. Golden State necesitan to move Kuminga despite rumors, the unresolved status of Ben Simmons, and other restricted free agent scenarios all contribute to a sense of volatility. For Boston, this means that opportunities might appear suddenly and unexpectedly. Savvy teams will be ready to act, leveraging team negotiation and player evaluation to capitalize on situations that others mishandle. The Celtics' front office has a chance to navigate this chaos strategically, adding pieces that complement the core while avoiding overpaying for flash or name recognition. Finally, integrating potential acquisitions like Monk or Giddey involves not approach to roster building that goes far beyond the box score. In short, Boston sits at a fascinating crossroads. Tatum's recovery, Monk's availability, his potential, and the strategic salary management are all converging to define the near-term and long-term trajectory of the team. The interplay between player performance, injury recovery, front office strategy, and league with the chaos creates a narrative that is as compelling off the court as the games themselves are on it. Fans, analysts, and insiders are watching every move with bated breath, knowing that one smart decision, or one missed, can ripple across the entire season, influencing not just wins and losses, but the perception and momentum of the franchise for years to come. But before we continue, please remember to subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest news about the Boston Celtics. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. Whispers around the NBA community have intensified after JRUE Holiday's recent candid remarks about his tenure with the Boston Celtics, stirring a maelstrom of speculation regarding one of the league's most scrutinized careers. The veteran point guard, whose defensive acumen and court vision have long been praised, disclosed that he harbors regret about his decision to join the Celtics, a statement that has ignited countless debates among analysts, fans, and insiders alike. Sources close to Holiday suggest that the transition to Boston presented unexpected challenges, both on and off the court, ranging from team dynamics to the weight of fan expectations that often accompany the storied franchise. While his abilities were never in question, the chemistry with the Celtics roster reportedly did not meet his personal or professional aspirations, fostering an environment where his impact could have been more limited than anticipated. The timing of his revelation is particularly noteworthy, coming as whispers circulate about potential trades and restructuring across several teams, prompting speculation that Holiday's words might hint at an impending shift in the NBA landscape. Social media platforms have been ablaze with fan reactions, some defending Holiday's candor while others critique his choice in hindsight. Analysts argue that his comment underscores the delicate balance players face when weighing opportunity, legacy, and personal satisfaction, turning what was a professional decision into a public narrative ripe for interpretation, questioning, and rumor-mongering, while the Celtics' front office remains characteristically silent. The ripple effect of Holiday's admission has already begun to infiltrate the NBA circles, with insiders dissecting every possible implication of his statement and conjecture about where it might go next runs rampant. The league has always been fertile ground for speculation, yet few remarks have generated as much nuanced chatter as a player openly admitting regret over a high-profile signing. Commentators on sports networks have seized the opportunity to debate whether Holiday's move to Boston was doomed from the start, pointing to the team's strategic decisions, coaching shifts, and roster composition as contributing factors to his perceived disappointment. Meanwhile, former teammates and coaches have offered guarded responses, acknowledging his talent while carefully sidestepping any commentary that could be construed as criticism. The rumor mill has also shifted toward potential suitors who could benefit from acquiring a seasoned guard of Holiday's caliber, with whispers of interest from both Eastern and Western Conference franchises creating an undercurrent of anticipation and intrigue. Pundits highlight that while some players seamlessly adapt to new environments, others, even those as skilled as Holiday, might face intangible challenges such as leadership fit, locker room cohesion, and the psychological weight of big expectations, factors that are difficult to quantify but evidently impactful. Social media analytics show speakers in discussions surrounding not only Holiday's career decisions but also the broader phenomenon of player satisfaction and regret, reflecting fans' obsession with narrative framing. Rumors continue to swirl, bolstered by every subtle gesture, interview, or hint dropped in public appearances, feeding a cycle of speculation that could influence contract talks, team strategies, and the perception of Boston as a destination for elite talent, ultimately blurring the line between professional assessment and public gossip. The commentary on Holiday's regret has evolved beyond mere speculation, influencing narratives about the Celtics, recent strategic decisions and igniting conversations about team culture, leadership, and the broader implications of player movement in the modern NBA era. Analysts and former players dissect every nuance of his statement, attempting to uncover hidden motivations, unspoken tensions, or career ambitions that may have been unfulfilled in Boston. Rumors suggest that internal disagreements, perhaps over role definition, offensive schemes, or long-term planning, could have contributed to Holiday's sentiment, fueling fan theories and social media debates that range from plausible conjecture to far-fetched speculation. Basketball insiders emphasize that such admissions are rarely isolated, they often serve as signals to other franchises about a player's mindset, potentially catalyzing trades, signings, or strategic repositioning. Moreover, this revelation taps into a broader trend of athletes speaking candidly about their career choices, challenging the traditional narrative of unwavering loyalty and providing audiences with a glimpse into the personal calculations behind professional decisions. As conversations swirl across podcasts, sports shows, and digital forums, the intrigue surrounding Holiday intersects with broader debates about team identity, the role of veteran leadership, and the sometimes invisible pressures that accompany playing for historically significant franchises. Every anecdote, interview clip, or cryptic social media post is scrutinized for hints of discontent or foreshadowing, creating a feedback loop of rumor and analysis that keeps his tenure in Boston at the center of attention. The Celtics' management, meanwhile, maintains a careful public stance, neither confirming nor denying the details of Holiday's reflection, which only serves to fuel the mystery and intensify speculation about his future trajectory within the league. Fans, as always, have taken center stage in the unfolding drama, offering a wide spectrum of reactions that range from sympathetic understanding to sharp criticism, illustrating the emotional investment that surrounds NBA personalities. Social media platforms, fan forums, and online comment sections have been transformed into arenas for debating not only Holiday's abilities but also his decision-making process and personal reflections, with each post contributing to the growing mosaic of rumor and interpretation. Speculative threads proliferate, proposing scenarios about how the Celtics might respond, potential trade destinations, and the impact on team performance if Holiday were to depart. While meme culture and viral content add a layer of levity to the otherwise serious discussions, this phenomenon highlights the unique relationship between player sentiment and fan perception, revealing how an athlete's candid expression of regret can resonate far beyond the locker room, influencing public opinion, team branding, and the broader narrative of the league. Analysts observe that such discourse can subtly affect player value, contract negotiations, and franchise reputation, turning what might have been a private career reflection into a public spectacle that carries real-world implications. Meanwhile, agents, scouts, and team executives monitor these conversations closely, as the collective sentiment can occasionally reveal underlying truths about fit, morale, and organizational culture. Factors that are notoriously difficult to measure but critically relevant of pursue BR Celtics and the league for months to come. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Boston Celtics, please subscribe to our channel and give the video a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.